My dear ثانوية عامة friends, welcome once more to your English program. طبعا احنا مع great expectations. فاكرين المرة اللي فاتت we said that Pip's sister was hit on the head and she was lying on the ground when Pip walked in. وشفنا شخصيات تانيين دخلت معانا. شفنا بيدي who came to help after his sister was hit. وفي شخصية أورليك the bad person اللي بنشك اللي هو كان الconvict التاني اللي احتمال يكون هو اللي ضرب مس هافيشن. خليكم معانا كده وبالأسئلة مع بعض هنشوف هيحصل ايه. Why were people gathering in the kitchen of Mr. Joe's house? Many people were there. قلنا ايه فاكرين لسه قايلها لكم. دخل بيب لقى اخته مرميه على الارض. Because Mrs. Joe had an accident and someone had hit her severely on the head. وزي ما قلت لكم فقدت النطق، بقت تتكلم بصعوبة جدا وبقت شخصية هادية جدا after she had been a very severe woman. Who did Pip and Mr. Wopsy meet on their way home? Who did Pip meet? They met Orlick, who was acting strangely and told them about the prisoners who escaped from a ship prison. This makes you think more about Orlick. Who is this Orlick? Who is Orlick? Who helped Mrs. Joe after the accident? Who helped Mrs. Joe after the accident? But she didn't help Mrs. Joe alone. She helped Joe himself and Pip. Yes, it was the beautiful girl, Biddy. Biddy was helping them in the house and she was cooking and they said that her cooking was yummy. How often did Pip visit Miss Havisham? After Miss Havisham had given Pip the money to be an apprentice, he visited her once a year. He used to go and visit her once a year. وكل مرة بيلاقي الساعة واقفة عند 20 to 9. Where did Pip see Mr. Jaggers first? Actually, he saw him at Miss Havisham's house and then he saw him at the inn. فاكرين? He saw him at the inn. What did Mr. Jaggers tell Joe and Pip? This is very important. He told them that there was someone who refused to be mentioned and he wanted to help Pip to have a better future and to be a gentleman. كأن حلم بيب اتحقق. فاكرين استيل كانت بتكسره ازاي؟ Now he wanted to be a gentleman and there was someone who was going to help him to be a gentleman. Who did Pip think this person was? Who did Pip think was his secret benefactor? طبعا الكل فاكر Miss Havisham because she gave him the sum of money, because she invited him to the house. But we will find out differently. What did Mr. Jaggers give Pip and why? He gave him something. He gave him money to buy new clothes. عشان يبقى gentleman قال يعني فلازم طبعا اللبس المناسب. He gave him money to buy new clothes. What was Mr. Jaggers' offer to Joe? He offered to give him a big amount of money if Pip completed his education in London, far away, and returned home. Where would Pip have his education? In London, in Mr. Matthew Pocket's home. Now we will move to some critical questions. Critical questions يعني ايه؟ شغلوا مخكم ده كويس معايا، اوكي؟ شغلوا مخكم كويس. If I was to tell you Orlick was an intelligent criminal, prove it. هتردوا تقولوا ايه؟ Because no one discovered it was he who attacked Mrs. Joe. لعب لعبته وهرب بيها. Miss Havisham asked Pip to visit her on her birthday. What does it show about her character? It's very strange. It's a very strange relationship between Miss Havisham and Pip. She acted strangely with Pip, but she loved him. كانت بتذله عن طريق استيل لكن كان عندها affection towards him. If I were to tell you Biddy was a kind person, discuss. طبعا احنا لسه قايلين انه بيدي was very gentle مع مسز جو وهي عيانه وكانت كويسه مع نفس جو وكانت بتدرس بيب نفسه. فطبعا هنقول she helped Pip in his education and also kept helping Mrs. Joe after losing her ability to talk or move. And she was kind to Joe himself. Okay? Do you think that Pip was happy after his sister was hurt? Why? أنا قلت لكم الكلام ده في الشابتر اللي فاتت. سبقت بالموضوع. No, because he stated that he loved her despite her cruel treatment with him. When asked directly, Pip has a very kind heart. بالرغم إنه المال هتغيره شوية، لكن هيرجع لعقله تاني في الآخر. He said no, that he loved his sister very much لأنها أخته. Even if she was cruel to him, هي أخته. فhe loved her. لكن we all know من الواقع that his life became easier after his sister was hit. Do you think that Joe was happy about Mr. Jaggers' offer? طبعا لا. جو بيحب بيب قوي وكان زعلان جدا انه هيسافر ويسيبه والابرنتس مش هيبقى عنده. فهي was not happy. he was not happy. He refused it, but he had to give it. Which one had better morals, Joe or Pip, and why? الحقيقة ده سؤال صعب أوي. مين فيهم كان عنده أخلاق أكتر، جو ولا بيب؟ أسيبكم تردوا على السؤال ده ولا أرد لكم عليه؟ I think Joe was a better human being. Joe was a very kind man. Joe took care of Pip and would never leave Pip. طبعا انتوا ممكن تردوا وتقولوا Pip was not very good because he left his family and friends to better himself. لكن حرام برضو استيل كانت جرحته قوي، فهو كان عايز يثبت نفسه، فهي left not because he was bad but because he wanted to become a gentleman.